Hello, English learners, and welcome. I'm your host, Paul. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
We've got some fascinating material you sent over, all focused on, well, how to speak English faster, more naturally.
hmm
And what really stands out is this push away from just perfect grammar towards, real communication flow.
Exactly. And the sources are packed with practical stuff, actual techniques. It's not just theory, it's about actionable strategies to get past that slow, maybe hesitant speech some learners struggle with.
Yeah, absolutely. So our mission today is to unpack those strategies for you. We want you to walk away with some concrete tricks to speed up your English, cut down pauses, feel more confident, but still be clear.
Definitely. And maybe the first place to start, something the material brings up, is why even bother speaking faster? It seems obvious, but maybe it's not.
Right. It's not just about sounding slick, is it?
hmm
The sources point out real-world stuff, like missing chances to jump into a conversation because you're still forming the sentence in your head. That story about the beginner learner was quite telling.
It really was. And think about work meetings, presentations. Keeping up is important. If you pause too much, people might think you're unsure, even if you know your stuff.
That's a great point. It's perception, isn't it? And one source mentioned something I found interesting. Speaking faster can actually help your listening. How does that work?
It's like tuning your ear. By practicing speaking faster, you're sort of getting your brain used to the natural rhythm and speed of English. So when you hear it, it doesn't sound quite so overwhelming, like a musician getting used to faster music.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. It's recalibrating. Now, a key thing they stressed, faster doesn't mean unclear, like rushing frantically.
No, definitely not. The goal isn't to mumble. It's about being efficient, cutting out the unnecessary delays, like that mental translation step, so your rhythm sounds more natural.
Okay, let's dig into these powerful tricks then. First up, thinking in English. This feels huge for a lot of learners. Why is translating in your head such a speed bump?
Well, like the sources say, you're basically doing double duty. You think it in your language, then you translate it to English. That takes time. It's that gap that causes hesitation.
Right, the processing delay.
Yeah.
So how do we actually start thinking in English? The sources had some good practical tips, like just describing your surroundings.
Yeah, that's a great simple start. Look around. Say what you see. Red car. Sky is blue. Making coffee. Do it during everyday things. It builds that direct link object to English word, no detour through your native language.
I like that. And the idea of silent conversations. Talking to yourself in English in your head. Sounds a bit odd maybe, but I can see it.
It's mental practice. You're rehearsing, like planning how you'll explain something to your boss, but doing it silently in English. It primes your brain to form English sentences more automatically.
And the phone language thing, switching your phone settings to English. So simple, but you interact with it constantly.
Exactly. Every notification, every menu, it's English exposure. It helps words become automatic. You just recognize them without thinking.
And reading, of course. Social media, news, books. It all just helps soak it in, doesn't it?
Absolutely. More input in English helps your brain start working in English more naturally. They're small steps, but they add up to a big shift over time.
Okay, trick number 2. Using common phrases and sentence starters. This seems like a smart shortcut. Why are these so effective for speed?
Because you don't have to build every sentence from zero. These phrases are like pre-made blocks. Think, how are you? I'm fine, thanks. Nobody constructs that consciously, right? It's automatic.
Yeah, totally automatic. And the examples given were really useful, like for giving opinions.
Right. Instead of stumbling, you can just pull out, I think that, or in my opinion, or from my point of view. It gives you a smooth start.
Same for agreeing or disagreeing, or even just buying time. Well, let me think. Or that's an interesting question. Those are lifesavers.
They are. They fill the gap gracefully while you actually do think. It sounds more considered, less hesitant.
And learning phrases for specific situations, like ordering coffee, can I have a coffee, please? Just having that ready saves time and stress.
Exactly. It reduces the mental load for common things. And the sources suggest practicing them, say them aloud, write them down. That helps lock them in for quick recall.
Got it. Okay, moving on. Trick 3. Reducing hesitation and filler words. The dreaded, it's like, you know, they definitely slow things down and can make you sound less confident. Why do we use them?
Well, often it's just a pause to think, isn't it? Or uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as the material points out, they interrupt the flow and can dent your credibility a bit.
So the first suggestion was just pause instead of filling the silence.
It sounds simple, but it works. A short silent pause sounds much more confident than, It suggests you're thinking deliberately. Native speakers use pauses strategically.
And practicing with time limits, like
Yeah.
talking for 1 minute straight on a simple topic.
Yeah, that forces you to keep going, to find the words without leaning on those fillers. It builds fluency under a bit of pressure, like a mini workout for your speaking brain.
Recording yourself may be uncomfortable, but I see the value. You actually hear your own habits.
Self-awareness is key, right? You hear where you hesitate, where you use fillers, and then you can target those spots in your practice. Replace the with a pause next time.
And preparing answers for common questions. What do you do? Where are you from? Smart. Takes the pressure off those initial moments.
Totally. Those questions come up all the time. Having a smooth answer ready helps you start strong, builds momentum and confidence right away.
Okay, next trick. Shadowing. This sounds quite active. Explain this one. How does it help with speed?
Shadowing is basically like being an echo. You listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say almost immediately right after them. The focus isn't really on perfect understanding or grammar at that moment. It's on matching their speed, their rhythm, their intonation.
Okay, like mimicking the sound pattern. The sources mention steps. Choose audio. Listen and repeat instantly and practice the same bit over and over. What kind of audio works best?
You want something clear, natural speech. Not too slow, not too fast, at least initially. Short clips from podcasts, YouTube, maybe movies. Something you can actually keep up with or almost keep up with.
And repeating the same clip is important.
Very. It's like muscle memory. You're training your mouth and brain to produce those sounds and rhythms at that speed. Each repetition should feel a bit easier. Starting slower or using subtitles first, as suggested, is good advice for beginners.
How does it automatically train your brain to think in English, as one source put it?
Because you're forced to process and produce the English sounds so quickly, it kind of bypasses that conscious translation step. You start anticipating the patterns, the flow. It helps wire the English rhythm directly into your brain.
Interesting. Now, related but different. Imitating native speakers. How's this different from shadowing?
Imitation goes a bit deeper. Shadowing is mostly about timing and rhythm. Imitation adds pronunciation, the specific sounds, the tone of voice, even things like facial expressions or gestures if you're watching video. It's a more holistic copy.
Right, a fuller picture. The steps were similar. Pick someone, watch and listen closely, especially mouth movements apparently, and then imitate everything.
Yeah, watching how someone physically forms the sounds is super helpful for your own pronunciation. And listening for tone, how words link together. That all adds to sounding more natural and often faster because it's smoother.
And recording yourself again to compare.
Essential feedback loop. You can really hear the difference between your attempt and the original in pronunciation, rhythm, pitch. It shows you exactly what to work on. Think about actors learning accents. They use this exact technique.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And starting small, like 30-second clips, focusing on the speaker's energy.
Yeah. Don't try to imitate a whole movie at first. Short bursts are better. And energy is about capturing the feeling, the intention behind the words, not just the sounds. That makes your speech more engaging and, again, often more naturally paced.
Okay, final trick. Speaking without overthinking grammar. This has got to be a big one for people aiming for perfection. Why is letting go of perfect grammar important for speed?
Because, as the sources highlight, constantly checking your grammar in your head is a major source of hesitation. It slows you right down. And the truth is, even native speakers make little grammar slips in fast conversation. The goal is communication, not perfect textbook sentences all the time.
So the strategies were: use simpler sentences, focus on clarity over perfection, and just practice speaking naturally. Why simple sentences?
Less complexity means less chance of getting tangled up grammatically while you're trying to speak quickly. The example given, replacing a complex conditional with two simple sentences, shows how it keeps the flow going.
And focusing on clear communication. That's a mindset shift, isn't it?
It really is. Your main job is to get your idea across. Small grammar errors usually don't stop that. Listeners focus more on your message anyway.
So how does just practicing speaking, talking to yourself, timed exercises, build that automatic response?
It's repetition and habit formation. The more you just speak, the more your brain gets used to forming sentences and finding words in English without having to consciously analyze every grammatical rule. It becomes more automatic.
Now, while aiming for speed, the sources warned about some common mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Good to keep these in mind. First, speed over clarity.
Yes, crucial point. Rushing so much that people can't understand you defeats the whole purpose. You'll just get asked to repeat yourself, slowing things right down. Recording yourself helps check if you're still clear.
A link to that. Neglecting pronunciation. Fast but unclear pronunciation is a problem.
Huge problem. If people struggle to decode your sounds, the conversation stalls. So practice pronunciation slowly first, get the sounds right, then work on speed.
And overusing those filler words again. Still a trap, even when trying to be faster.
Yeah, the urge might be stronger when you're pushing your speed, but they still make you sound less fluent. Stick with the pause.
And finally, the mistake of not practicing in real situations. Practicing alone is one thing, but a real conversation is different.
Totally. Real conversations are unpredictable. You need to adapt on the fly. So joining groups, talking to friends, even simple things like ordering food, that's where you test and solidify these skills in the real world.
Okay, so bringing it all together, what about daily practice? The sources gave specific exercises. First, the 1-minute speaking challenge.
Great exercise. Pick a topic, talk for a minute nonstop, forces you to think on your feet in English. Recording it helps you spot where you slowed down or used fillers.
Shadowing again, but making it a daily habit, even short bursts.
Consistency is key. Just 5 or 10 minutes a day adds up. And try slightly faster audio as you improve. Keep challenging yourself a bit.
Speed reading aloud, an interesting one.
Yeah, it connects reading and speaking muscles. Read an article out loud, push the speed but stay clear. Good for articulation. If you stumble on a word, practice it slowly, then speed it up.
And lastly, just aiming for 10 minutes of daily English speaking, however you can manage it.
Exactly. Talk to someone, talk to yourself, record yourself. Just make sure you're actively producing English every day. That builds the habit, the automaticity we're aiming for.
So, wrapping this up, if you had to boil it down, what are the core takeaways for speaking English faster, more naturally?
I'd say, remember, it's not just about raw speed. It's about smooth, clear, confident communication. And the key is consistent daily practice using these kinds of techniques, thinking in English, using phrases, shadowing, imitating, not obsessing over grammar. It all works together.
And if someone listening wants to start right now, what's one simple thing they could do?
Just pick one thing. Maybe for the rest of today, consciously try to think in English while you're doing chores. Or find a 30-second audio clip and try shadowing it just once or twice. Just take that first small step.
Great advice. It's all about starting, isn't it? Well, thanks for breaking all that down. Hopefully this gives everyone listening some really practical tools to boost their speaking. Keep practicing, keep at it, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.